crypto asset? Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. Every day on this channel, we teach you how to make money with digital assets. Thank you for joining, everybody. Smash that like button. We got a very special DZ stream in the wake of the crypto report. We got all the details. So the top story today, what altcoins are stand to benefit the most from this crypto report? What is in the crypto report? What is going on with the Fed rates? And we're going to look at, of course, secret investments by Grayscale. Yeah, we're going to do a little Grayscale deep dive, of course. Thank you for joining, everybody. We got major news for AI coins as well, MicroStrategy earnings, all types of stuff is going on today. So smash the likes, Disco fam. And if you're wondering, why does DZ sound like he was jump roping in the attic like Kevin? I was just dressing very, very quickly. I'm so out of shape. Buttoning a shirt can cause me to lose my breath. Actually, I was choking myself on the button, that top button, man. I was struggling. Just ask the technical director in the background. But thanks for joining, everybody. Let's look at Bitcoin on some of these small time frames here. So, of course, we've talked about Bitcoin, gold in this parallel channel in yesterday's video. But we want to know what is going on with Bitcoin on some of these small time frames here. So we're going to connect. I'm connected, folks. And we're going to go to Bitcoin. Let's go to a small time frame, like I was saying. Let's go to that 5 minute. Woo! Bitcoin trying to find a little bit of a bottom. It looked like we had a pretty significant flash crash this morning, right around 9:30, and now it is testing some of these ranges. However, if we go to the 1 minute, probably going to see some green candles. Looks like it's trying to create a higher low on some of these small time frames. Would not be surprised to see one more liquidity sweep down here below 117,800. And if we go back, you can kind of see we're kind of flirting with the ranges that we saw over here. Now, let's go to the 1 hour chart on Bitcoin. And you can see we were still just kind of stuck in the sideways range. This Bollinger Band is getting tighter and tighter. The volatility index is getting smaller and smaller. And as Bitcoin spends a longer time within this very narrow range, the more explosive the move is going to be. Whether it's to the upside, whether it's to the downside, of course, no one knows for certain. But if you look at this point, we've been here for 20 days. So we're knocking on the door of 3 weeks within a fairly tight range. All right. So we got people opening longs, some DGen longs for ETH for the boys here. I've been doing too much research in this morning. I haven't had a chance to open a trade, but I do want to throw a quick shout out to LBank. LBank, of course, is the preferred exchange that we're using here. Is where I'm getting my leverage trades in, everybody. And they just got a airdrop. Incoming daily drops for the funniest creator. I do not know much about Labubu's. Labubu's apparently are taking over the world. I know Choose Rich has been talking about it. I did a little bit of a research this morning. Apparently, Labubu's was popularized by a K-pop star. So very, very big in Asia. I think Rihanna started to use one. They got little keychains. So if you're into Labubu's, you know anyone that is, you got a family member, go check this out. Maybe join this campaign. So big shout out to LBank. We got a link down below. Let's go to CoinGecko here. Let's look at the crypto prices. Because right now, man, like I said, just things are flat. I'm tired of seeing 0%. I'm tired of seeing 0.2%. I'm tired of seeing 0.1%. We are not seeing a lot of movement. Oh, BNB said, I'll move 0.4%. How about that? Not a lot of movement, folks. In the top 10, the biggest mover, Solana, down 1%. So we can just see here the market's choosing a direction. If I had to guess, I think there's a lot of people longing off of the potential mention of Bitcoin reserves from Bo Hines. You also got people shorting from potential no Fed rate cuts in September. People aren't happy about that. And so the market is just trying to choose a direction. But let's choose the biggest winners. Who do we have? Athena. Athena's moving. We've been talking about what this stablecoin means for this ecosystem. We just did a video talking about Athena a little bit. And Toncoin. Oh, man, that's so frustrating. I made a Toncoin video. It hasn't gone out. I actually had to re-record it. Should have gone out a couple days ago. Just got it to the editor last night. I've been trying to get a Toncoin video out for about 4 or 5 days. And now that I'm seeing that as pump, I just feel upset. So when you see the Toncoin video come out, be like, I tried to warn you, folks. I tried, but I had a issue with mentioning the wrong wallet. They have a new wallet for US users, so go check that out. Story is moving. I'll tell you exactly why Story's moving later on in the show, and the next alpha that you can glean. HBAR has also got a little bit of a pump here. HBAR pumping off of the news of the crypto reserve report, and we'll talk about that just momentarily here. And Uniswap is down a little bit as these centralized exchanges get some clarity from the White House. These decentralized exchanges, maybe not performing quite as well. And Aave, man, if I was going to open along today, I think I would have to look at Aave. We're looking at some of these charts here. Aave, very, very well connected altcoin, very well connected in the DeFi space, connected with the Trump administration, connected with Lido DAO, the largest staking protocol, the largest DeFi protocols, and seeing it at 267 feels like a steal. So I think that one might be moving in a little bit, folks. All right, GM, everybody, GM to you. I'm working on the odds and the ums. The council is in the house. We also got Rob giving us the thumbs up. Make sure you're smashing the like. I know Rob is. Rob, I hope you didn't hit the button twice. I hope you just hit it once. So I was saying last night was a nightmare. If you're trying to trade, yeah, there's a lot of low liquidity in the evenings, low liquidity on the weekend. So when you're trying to trade off explosive news, the market is designed to wreck you. So make sure you're trading with very, very low leverage. And F airdrops, well, I might have some news for airdrops. Airdrops are no longer going to be taxed. And like I said, we'll get into the details on this. But first, I want to give a shout out to Disco Fam member Steve-O. I don't know if Steve-O's in the chat here. Steve-O made a very good post. Thought I'd start with the Disco Fam. He downloaded and skimmed the entire digital assets report, which is really called Strengthening American Leadership in Digital Financial Technology. I can see why they went with digital asset report. So he tagged us here. You're going to see a lot of misinformation and nonsense regarding which coins are or aren't mentioned in this report. Download the PDF and did a thorough word search. I ended up double checking his work. Remember, we don't trust, we verify it. Disco Fam. Bitcoin was mentioned at least 129 times. So it could have been mentioned more. Ethereum was mentioned at least 35 times. Ether was going to include weather, so we didn't include that. Solana, mentioned only once, twice in a reference. Solana, the mention there was essentially just naming layer one blockchains. Chainlink mentioned twice in a reference. However, oracles mentioned several times. AVAX, Polygon, Phantom, Cello, OP, Base, ARB, all mentioned once in a reference. Aave and Uni mentioned in a graphic, as well as Cardano, and I made fun of them, not mentioning Cardano's in the same graphic, is on brand for Steve-O. And then someone came at me with the attack here. Oh, is this what you're talking about? Now, I wasn't saying it was inherently bullish, just pointing out the juxtaposition there. And HBAR was mentioned once in a reference to a DeFi explanation. So that's the actual breakdown. Big shout out to Steve-O for getting that in there. No XRP. Well, we're going to talk about XRP's role in this report. So if you're holding XRP, stick around here. People are asking, well, what about the pump? When are we going to get a pump from this news? This is going to be a long, slow burn. Also, it's affecting so many different coins within the blockchain space. It's going to be a little bit difficult unless there's just an altcoin explosion, Bitcoin dominance just breaks down. It's going to be difficult to pump 30 altcoins simultaneously, given off of this news here. We have a $5 super chat. Would you see we got more downside this week to drop 8K, or should I wait? So it sounds like someone may be potentially trying to DCA into Bitcoin, and whether or not Bitcoin's going to fall, significantly in the near term. Well, if anyone knew that for sure, of course, they would be a billionaire / trillionaire. So, what we're trying to do here is just game theory this out and look at, maybe some larger time frames. Maybe look at the 4 hour. What are we looking at with the money flow? Money flow is looking kind of good, moving to the upside, but we do have this heading to the downside. We want to see this white gray line. It's in the negative on the 1 hour. We want to see that move to the upside. We go to, let's just say, the 12 hour here. Trying to predict Bitcoin's next few moves here. This is bullish to me. This is bullish to me. And, the RSI is holding up decently. We do have some trigger waves here, and we do have money flow moving to the upside. So I think we stay in the range, if I had to say, but maybe we'll be closer to the top part of this range, 119, maybe rejecting $500, $400 away from 120. So that would be my assessment there. Let's get into this long-awaited and long-promised crypto report. All right. It was not mentioned. Its logo was used once. Yeah, that's what we were saying, referencing earlier. And I'm trying to show. There we go. There we go. So talking about that logo there. And Steve-O, thank you for of course making that post. All right. So let's get into it. So Trump on this crypto report. What are the details? Well, first, let's just say that is a Chad-esque, anime-esque Donald Trump right there. The chin of a champion. But Trump's working group on digital assets released its long-promised crypto report outlining policy recommendations for regulating crypto in the U.S., including crypto market structure, jurisdictional oversight, banking regulations, and promoting U.S. dollar hegemony through stablecoins and taxation of cryptocurrencies. Now, establishing a taxonomy of digital assets by clearly defining which cryptos are securities and which are commodities was first outlined in the report. So first thing we got to do, what the heck's a security? What the heck's a commodity? We're going to figure that out because they're going to collaborate on this oversight, the SEC and the CFTC. Commodity, governed by CFTC. Regulations that, going to be a little bit more stringent will be the SEC. So that's why they'll cover securities. Now, our issue is essentially only ETH and Bitcoin have been called commodity tokens. I think this is going to give us the clarity to add a slew of newer, I don't want to say newer, of new entrants, but they're going to be older blockchains. And when I say old, I mean, probably 4, 5, 8 years old on average there. Now, also the banking regulations need to be eased. Banks need the ability to custody crypto and provide asset services to customers. Now, they also recommended banking regulators streamline the process for a bank charter, make the requirements more transparent. If you're not aware, a lot of these exchanges, they're going state by state, trying to get these banking charters. If we make that a lot easier, it's just a lot more, it's more easy for overseas exchanges. Come on shore, come on to the US. If you're a decentralized exchange, go ahead, get those banking charters. Next thing you know, you're a real full-blown exchange. Now, they also touch on the need for stable coins. Essentially, protecting the hegemony here is essentially meaning creating buyers for our U.S. debt. We have a significant amount of debt floating around on the global scale. China holds debt. A lot of countries hold debt. A lot of public companies, private companies, pension funds. A lot of these people, individuals, in a safety deposit box, they hold U.S. debt. Right now, we're not seeing a lot of buyers for 30-year notes on our debt. And so 12 months, yeah, the U.S. government, they're going to pay me no problem. But you're starting to see rates creep up on the 30-year. And so that's suggesting people are a little uncertain. I don't know why I had to look at the year. People are a little uncertain. 2055, can the U.S. pay down some of this debt? And so right now we need buyers to step in because people are dumping these debt instruments for gold, for Bitcoin, for hard assets. And so if we can create buyers for this debt, that's just going to be good for the U.S. dollar and prevents the currency collapse. Now, we covered a lot of this in last night's video and the video before that, so go check those out. Now, also expected, the authors urge Congress to pass the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act. This is going to prohibit the research and development of a CBDC. However, the report highlighted many of the features of stablecoins indistinguishable from CBDCs. I think most of us agree here, and I think everybody kind of is, the same mind that stablecoins are essentially a CBDC that just isn't released by the Fed, isn't released by the Treasury, but largely they're the same. A unique feature of stablecoins is that the issuers can coordinate with the fuzz, with the law enforcement, to freeze and seize the assets to counter illicit use, aka Tether can freeze your balance. Circle can freeze your balance. Next thing you know, those tokens are gone forever. And I think that just adds to their balance sheet. I'm not sure how that works with jurisdictional oversight. Is a county district attorney going to try to, shake Circle down, be like, hey, this drug dealer or this guy linked to bad actors here, he had $1 million in Tether and we froze it. I think Tether just gets to keep that money. I don't know if that would go to, say, like the local DA or a state prosecutor there. And then finally, Congress establishes a custom-tailored tax policy for crypto that accounts for the unique features of the asset class. Mostly, we're talking about staking. This is huge for proof-of-stake networks. Now, proof-of-stake networks, a lot of you might not be aware, is a lot of significant cryptos out there. I think if we type in POS, it should give us categories here. Let's see here. I haven't done this yet. All right, so I'm probably going to have to type in proof of stake here. That's my guess. All right, so we're going to type in proof of stake. We're learning live here. Let's see. Stake. Proof of stake categories. So this will take you to the categories of cryptos that are proof of stake. And I think there's two big winners. There's going to be two big winners from staking rewards no longer being taxed. I think it's going to be ETH, BNB validators, and Solana validators. I'm not sure if Solana validators, earning tax-free Solana is going to get retail excited. Retail has access to staking rewards to, I would say, really only two of these. And that's going to be Cardano and Ethereum. Solana, sure, the validators get staking rewards. BNB, sure, the validators get staking rewards. But have you ever seen a Solana validator? I sure haven't. Have you ever seen a BNB validator? I sure haven't. This is like CZ's nephew. This is CZ's uncle. Tron, you go overseas, yeah, you're going to see a lot of people within that ecosystem. But I know a lot of people that have delegated Cardano to SBOs, and I know a lot of people that are trying to earn a little bit of yield with their ETH via DeFi. And so not getting taxed on ADA rewards and ETH rewards is going to be very bullish. Now, there are other staking platforms and the other staking rewards, but I think these are going to be the two beneficiaries. Tell me who you think is going to get some of these staking rewards. We'll read some of the chat here because I am kind of interested to know what you guys think. Now, Steve-O says, I know some Solana validators, actually. Of course, Steve-O knows the Solana validators. Let's see here. Meetings making you late for the stream. Hey, man, better late than never. Kind of like a peer. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. You know what I was going to say, though. Can't they already do that with fiat bank accounts? Yeah, same thing. The traditional system can also freeze your money. A lot of people can freeze your money there. All right, so let's get into the next phase of this report. So we got staking rewards. But what about that Bitcoin reserve? We want to know about that Bitcoin reserve. It's not in there. However, White House confirms the reserve plans remain active despite not being in the report. So it's not all over. The strategic Bitcoin reserve notably absent from the report. According to Bo Hines, he's a director of the Council of Advisors of Digital Assets. The report's priority was establishing clear regulatory framework rather than detailing asset holdings. So his assessment was that's not what the report was about. The report wasn't supposed to be, here's how we accumulate as much Bitcoin. Here's how we get more Bitcoin than China. The report was basically, we just need regulatory framework. Now, Bo Hines emphasized the administration remains committed to Bitcoin accumulation, stating, we do believe in accumulation. We believe, and confirming the existence of a strategic national digital asset stockpile. This is going to be probably maybe semi-related to that post that Trump did. He did name, a handful of cryptos. So maybe the ones on there could be quite good. However, there were people within the Trump team who hated when he mentioned specific altcoins for that digital asset stockpile. So maybe that would actually count as a black mark against them. Now, when questioned about the exact amount of Bitcoin held by the Fed, the Bo Hines declined to disclose specifics, citing multiple reasons for confidentiality. But he did say, we want as much as we can possibly get, and we're going to continue to work on that. Now, independent data from Nansen estimates we have 198,000 Bitcoin valued at nearly 2.35 billion. Now, we do have the video. We're not going to play it. Altcoin Daily posted it. So if you want to watch that, go give it a shout. Go watch that video. $1.39. Minute 39. I've been looking at crypto prices too much. Minute 39 and has a lot of those quotes that we just talked about there. But we're going to get into altcoins. But now we got to talk about the M2 money supply. Let's do a little Bitcoin price action. Then we'll get back into which altcoins specifically are going to rally from this. M2 is getting worse. Now, we just had the largest decline in M2. Let's just cut to it. M2 right here. So this was May 10th. Looked a lot more bullish. You look at the end of the thing, like, oh, man, that looks good, man. That's looking good. Well, we update a couple months here. Now we're starting to maybe get a sub peak or a final top. We don't know if this is the final top for global liquidity. I did say global liquidity is going to be my largest predictor on when the Bitcoin bull run ends. Right now, there's about a 3.5 month lag on this. And so this is today, and this is today. And what they did with the Bitcoin chart is they slid it 90 days to the left. Now, since we pushed the M2 line forward 90 days, or M2 forward 90 days, that means the drop in global liquidity could reflect itself September, October 2025, just 2 months from today. Will this be the Bitcoin sub peak, or will it mark the final Bitcoin top? Now, if it is a sub peak, we'll see this move back to the upside. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a dump around that September, October area. But if this is the final top, if it's the final top, maybe DZ's original prediction for the Bitcoin top, I made this in like 22, might come to fruition September 27, 2025. I've been saying that for a long time. I have reassessed given the strength and the correlation of this chart, moved it to Q1, assuming global M2 continues to rise. But we may, if I'm right with the 927 Bitcoin top for the cycle, I need to just stop moving altcoins. I basically predicted the Bitcoin bottom back in 22 to I was $300 to $600 off. I think I did 16.2. I think it went to 15.6 or 15.9, something like that. Predicted Bitcoin bottom by, I was off by 36 hours. Oh man. So if we end up topping, we will I will let you know. DZ will let you know if I'm selling my altcoins. I don't know if I can, bring myself to sell Bitcoin. Every time I do it, I end up regretting it years later, but I'm definitely going to let you guys know what I'm doing there. Can you give us your take on Arbitrum? Devs love OP, whales love ARB. I gave my thesis to Josh months ago when I said, all right, so we got two things we're looking at here. Now, I don't know how much more dev work OP blockchain needs, the Unichain needs, but now I feel like it's decent. There's enough people working on it. But ARB, the whales love ARB. Why can't ARB wait for OP, Optimism, to do some fancy paper, some fancy EIP proposal, some fancy, new way of doing zero knowledge proofs, or my favorite word, proto-dank sharding? Why can't they just replicate that? It's easier to replicate tech than it is to replicate whale investments. So it's a lot easier to say, oh, OP put out some paper on zero knowledge or snark technology. Let's just implement it. Maybe it takes us half a year. Maybe it takes us 3 months. That's easier than saying, well, Andreessen Horowitz and Pomp and, maybe Bo Hines' cousin, they invested $200 million in a Series A funding round. That's a lot harder to pull off. And so for that reason, I am more bullish on ARB than OP. Told Josh to sell all his OP for ARB. I'm not sure if you listened. We did track, we tracked it for a couple months. It was the better move. Is going to be a beta play for ETH. I'm not sure if I hold some still. If I hold some, it's just going to be a small amount, like a little baby amount from 22. Proto-dank sharding is what happens when you short Fartcoin correctly. Then you end up doing a proto-dank shart. All right, let's talk about Bitcoin price here. And we'll talk back about altcoins. So price retargets 119, but treasuries are buying massive amounts of Bitcoin here. And so it failed in its latest, or so it gave up the latest dip as the strategic reserves hopes replace the nerves over the Fed rates. So we're kind of bearish because of what Jerome Powell said. But then we got that crypto reserve. We got Bo Hines out there saying, don't worry, it's coming. And so, again, the bulls and the bears just can't really choose a winner. Now, Bitcoin treasuries added 30,000 Bitcoin in just 48 hours, despite that market volatility. So we're seeing a lot of movement there. Now, I just got a message from, let's just say I'm getting some inside knowledge on some things I can't share, but there's going to be massive news. I almost don't want to give away too much. Coming from Rare Evo. I maybe have heard the inside scoop on what's going to be announced at Rare Evo. Rare Evo is going to be about a week from now. Starting like Wednesday. Yeah, so a little bit less than a week from now. Let's just say buckle up. DZ's got some insiders. They're messaging me, and you're going to be very, very happy. If you're a holder of one of 8 blockchains or any of those 8 blockchains, and if maybe some people are picking up what I'm putting down there. Now, Bitcoin did have a nice little 3% bounce, but that had accompanied a more hawkish than expected Fed rate meeting. Basically, it came in more bearish. It looks less likely that they're going to cut rates. Jerome Powell stayed tight-lipped, thin, villainous lips, thin, bird-like, beak-like, villainous lips. He was tight-lipped on the future rate cuts after the FOMC meeting held rates at current levels. His reasoning, well, the unemployment rate remains low and the labor conditions remain solid, but inflation remains somewhat elevated. So he's using the excuse of inflation to hesitate on cutting rates. Now, the FOMC result saw Powell ignore pressure from Trump to lower rates or quit. And he told reporters he had no updates on whether or not he was going to resign. Is he going to resign? I got no updates. That's saying no to me. That's saying no. Now, analysts on the Bitcoin treasury buys, remember we talked 28,000 Bitcoin. Well, those who know. Those who are inside knowledge, purveyors, they're buying, folks. So while you're worrying about the Fed, Bitcoin treasury companies just had one of their biggest buy days ever yesterday, 28,000. And the last time net buying by the pros was this high was August 2020. Those who know. Well, let's do a little deep dive on that. So I was curious here. Well, institutional buying is mirroring 450% rally. This is major news. We're going to go to the charts in 30 seconds, okay? First, Thomas Massey's thoughts on the Fed rates from Jerome Powell. It's absurd that one man sets the interest rates for a free country in the Fed. This is Kentucky representative. Smart guy, a lot smarter than me. MIT. He has a solar-powered chicken cage. It literally rolls around in his yard, and it has like a tunator and like all types of weird, I don't know. Basically, this is like he's soldering computer chips himself. Very smart guy, MIT. Also, unusual whales posting. Federal Reserve members Bowman and Waller wanted to cut rates. They dissented the rate hold. So we're seeing a little bit of mix and mash from the Fed here. Not everyone's agreeing with Jerome Powell. Not everyone's liking Jerome Powell. They're looking at him with his thin, villainous lips, wondering, when are you going to open that beak and say, lower the rates? Because we haven't seen it and we need to see it. Your inflation excuse, it's Fugazi. You know it's Fugazi. All right, not too smart. One man doesn't just, well, there were dissenting opinions there. So, a little bit of a, I think he's, maybe, speaking tongue-in-cheek there a little bit. If you say Massey isn't that smart, I would say go look into the guy and what he has created there. Let's see. We got people talking about Brave. That might be one of the 8 blockchains related to that inside knowledge that we got that we can't get into here. 50 ads. Aaron, I don't know if you're in the background. Maybe you can lower it one level there. I say lower it. Top 8 are going to be in the stockpile. Ooh, all right. Which 8 blockchains? Someone did say Brave was one of them. That's all we're going to say there, though. That's all we're going to say. I've already said too much. They're going to be mad at me for spilling the beans. Speaking of spilling the beans, let's all take a little sip of coffee together. So if you're holding some coffee, you got some Monster Energy drink, you got a Celsius, you got a Red Bull, you got some water, scotch, I don't know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's all take a little sip in 3, 2, 1. Got my hot bean juice. Got my thing warming up. You know what I mean? That's the little lights you see there. Oh, yeah, we're in the future, baby. We're in the future. My coffee's powered by the blockchain. All right, let's talk about this institutional buying here. So mirroring August 2020 is what that previous article said. Last time we saw buying like this, August 2020. Now we're seeing institutional buying. Yes, it's copying a big rally setup from 2020. So what are we looking at? We're looking at the buy-sell ratio. Is now 97%, meaning 32 buyers for every 1 seller. All right, 97% are buying, 3% are selling. And so the institutional buy-sell ratio, it measures net buying activity of institutions and corporate treasuries, reached 97% since first time since August 2020. When they were doing it then, Bitcoin was under $12,000. Now, the ratio reflects the percentage of Bitcoin transactions from major holders that are net buys. A spike this steep suggests aggressive accumulation by funds, corporations, and treasuries. All right. Let me message this inside crypto guy. We'll live now. We'll look at it in a second. Now, we'll post we'll reach out in a second. All right. So this is some secret knowledge I can't really get into, but you're going to be very, very happy once I'm able to spill the beans. We're going to be the first one spilling the beans on this. All right, so let's go to August 2020. Let's go to 2020. Let's look at weekly candles. We all know what happened in March 2020. That was we talked about this yesterday. A big sell-off. Probably kind of screwed up what that bear market looked like. But now we go into August. So we haven't seen, this is the first August weekly candle. We haven't seen buying like this since August 2020. 97% are buying, 3% are selling. Well, weekly candle green, essentially flat. Opened and closed a little bit higher. Well, is this a warning? Is DZ predicting a dump? Because look what happened in September. September was red. September was doo-doo. September was crap. I didn't like what happened in September. Now we're mirroring this setup, remember? So what happened next, chat? Whoa. So we are mirroring this area right here. Institutions, 97% buyers. Maybe we're going to get, as people get a little too bullish, we're going to have to, punish the optimism there. Maybe end up getting some pretty large wicks like we're seeing right there, as this is going to trap the traders who are just getting too bullish, wipe those longs, and then maybe we get a gigasend, everybody. So if we do truly mirror this August 2020 setup, we're getting ready for potentially 200,000 Bitcoin. Now, obviously, we're not going to pump 450%. Bitcoin's market cap's just too big. From that bottom, it pumped 550%. That's even more significant. Looks like from that local top, it pumped 450%. I don't think Bitcoin has that in its, I don't think it's capable of a 450% pump. But let's just say we pump 200. I don't know. Like, give your target. 450% is going to be a $600,000 Bitcoin. Obviously, we're not going to pump that much. If we pumped half, 225%, you're looking at a $370,000 Bitcoin. Honestly, at this point, I'm happy with a 45% pump. 45% pump. That's only pumping 1/10 of what we pumped in 2020. You're still looking at $174,000 Bitcoin. So we could have a 90% diminished bull setup there. Only 10% of the juice, 10% of the power. Still looking at $175,000 Bitcoin. So you are not bullish enough, folks. You're not bullish enough. What about B-hole coin? Bought it, dumped it, and rolled it back into Solana. I think it started pumping again while Fart Coin pumped. They call it the beta play to fart. You got to get in, you got to get out of the memes, folks. Don't, if you're going to diamond hand one of them and learn about that community and then start bull posting, start working for that altcoin bag that you got. On that though, I would say you got to take those profits into Bitcoin or the strong L1s or the strong underlying ecosystems there. So if you got, ETH, roll it into a ETH meme. You can roll it into ETH. If you got a Solana meme, roll it into Solana. If you're holding some SNEC your way up, roll it into Cardano. That's all fine there. Talk about ZBEC. Older coin, legacy coin, probably going to pump with the other Dino coins that are going to pump off of this. Expulsion of air noise coin exists. I'm not going to get into that. All right, Druth with the truth. And he's got the proof. Druth with the proof. Chainlink is mentioned twice by the literal White House, and yet prices are flat. People inside of my phone, are we cooked? And they, we talked about Steve-O's post, talk about Chainlink a couple times, but they mention oracles over and over and over and over again. The amount of times they mention oracles makes me very, very bullish for Chainlink. Also, Chainlink mentioned in the White House, it is Chainlink season. And you can go to the report and you could, you filter for the words if you're using Adobe there. So let's talk about this post here. Lena, French vanilla, I guess. I fed the White House report to the top GPT model. Given the prompt, given the following PDF, what are most implicated in a bullish way? Now, this is just the Chainlink mentions. Now, only non-L1 tokens singled out by a name and a graphic. The report uses Chainlink prepared diagram to explain blockchain oracles. That was the graphic that we were looking at earlier. Oracles are described as essential for real-world assets, DeFi, bridges, so tying link directly to the tokenization theme. RWA tokenization, core narrative, and oracles are presented as the technical backbone. Only Oracle Network explicitly showcased, essential for bringing off-chain data into the tokenized economy. And now I'm going to go ahead and predict what you're going to say. What about Pyth? What about Pyth? What about Pyth? What about my Python, huh? Ooh, about to break that suit. Pyth was cooked the moment Chainlink started working on Solana. I think Pyth is going to have a pump when Chainlink pumps, and people are going to look for the next Chainlink. There is going to be no next Chainlink. Link Marines. If you're in the chat, let me know, Link Marines. Smash that like button. And can someone give me a chain link emoji? The actual chain link. Let's get the chain link emojis. We need someone to get it so they don't have to look for it. Let's give it to the chat. I want to see some chain link emojis. And I know that's going to leave you pissed off. Kind of like when Tyson was disqualified for biting Evander's ear. Hey, Evander. Yeah, you don't want to be pissed off by holding too much pith. Link Gang is in the house. I know there's some Link Marines here, folks. Chain Link, a lot of people love some Chain Link. And as people said, Pith did have some issues. I don't recall off the top of my head what exactly happened there, but there we go. Thank you with this, the Stevo with the Chain Link and Worm with the Chain Link, and it looks like Shanking back. First one with the Chain Link emojis there. Thank you. Let's get those Link Marines in the chat. Hoorah. All right, now let's talk about AI, folks. Let's talk about the AI sector. What the hell is happening with these AI tokens? Because they're not pumping like the stocks are pumping, man. Microsoft and Meta both rocketed off in after hours trading after reporting strong earnings thanks to AI. But on the crypto side, we're not getting jack. We're not getting diddly, man. What the heck is going on, man? Is the diddler in my wallet? That didn't sound right. Microsoft cloud revenue jumped 27% to 46 billion, with Azure crossing 75 billion. Azure is going to be essentially what they call their cloud computing arm. If you're wondering why Azure is 75 billion while cloud revenue is only 46 billion, Azure does other things as well. So Azure cloud is in Azure, and Azure made 75 billion. So why? Demand for AI workloads pushed the data center capacity past 2 gigawatts. Meta, meanwhile, 22% year-over-year revenue increase, 43% operating margin as AI-powered ad models lifted conversions by up to 5%. And if you're looking at click-through rates on mobile ads, 5% is a huge boom for your bottom line. And also engagement on Facebook and Instagram surged. A lot of people say this is due to AI content. So we're seeing AI content pump Meta. We're seeing AI usage pump Microsoft. But we ain't seeing anything from the AI tokens. Normally, they move in sync with earnings from big tech. Like when NVIDIA had a huge rally in 2024, it pushed the AI category beyond $10 billion market cap. But Bitcoin's rising dominance is pushing it down. It's pulled the air out of the category, and now we're down below $5 billion. So AI not quite following, but there's another earnings coming. Michael Saylor, I think this comes out this evening, 4 p.m. Should have looked at the time. Sometimes it's 3:30, sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's in the middle of the day, although that's semi-rare. Saylor says his Q2 earnings call, most important moment ever for strategy. So I wonder what's going to go on there. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Looks like the stock is up intraday, and it's up 40% year to date there. So we'll keep an eye out on what the heck that super important message is going to be. Their most important moment ever. Is it going to be something? Is it going to be nothing? We do not know. My God, what if AI are actually manipulating AI? I think there's the whole dead internet theory has some credence, and that's like a lot of the comments that you're seeing, brain dead comments, NPC style comments. These are AI. They're like AI creating maybe engagement accounts. I know a lot of algorithms will boost accounts that make content when you interact with other content. And so maybe you're making an AI bot that reply to 87 people every minute, and then we're going to start making AI short slop from this account like 2 months later, and then you're already in the algo. You already got some engagement. So yeah, there's a lot of AI just kind of killing the internet here. Keep getting kicked out when this ad comes on. Are you being shadow banned for loving H-bar? I think your barbarian muscles are what's doing it. You must be using... You're doing the pulley weights, you know what I mean? The stretchy band weights. No, you did your Ethernet cable and you snapped it. That's what you get for being a barbarian, man. I know that's what happened. Let's see. We got someone turning $8 into 30. Hey, man, we're over here making steak sandwiches with our little $100 bets, $50 bets. I can walk away from a $50 trade and get my work done. $100 trade, $200. I'm like, maybe I'm like looking out the corner of my eye. When I'm trading with $1,000, $5,000. I am glued to the screen, and that's why I haven't been trading as much this week. There's been so much news. I've been having to cover it, folks. The economy is fake. It's so fake and lame. That is for sure. Also, the AI bots. Yeah, a lot of the bots out there. Yeah, especially on X. It's AI bots left and right, but I meant more like YouTube, things that you wouldn't, platforms you wouldn't normally associate with bot activity. But speaking of bots, where are my ETH holders at? You robots, you. Alts are down 4%, another 4% this week against Ethereum. I'm sure your alt is great. I think it's supposed to be I'm sure your altcoin is great, but what if it bleeds against Ethereum? This is going to be total 3 minus USDT. So it's going to be everything excluding Bitcoin, Tether, everything except the top 3, and ETH, and then priced in ETH. And you can see right now it is declining. ETH is gaining its value back, and probably one of my favorite charts. This is going to lead us into what we're seeing here. I don't know if there's an AVAX ETH. Yeah, Binance does have an AVAX ETH. It's a lot of altcoins that are, in my opinion, starting to look pretty good, especially on some of these larger time frames. Continues to bleed. But AVAX ETH, this is Avalanche, very close to going home. Very close to going home. I don't see it really dipping much below this. Right now we kind of fell through this support here, or this point of control, but maybe this is just going to be a scam wick into these levels, making people wait for the 0.5%, 5.5%. This is essentially what each Avalanche is worth in ETH terms. So right now, one AVAX is worth like 0.006% of an ETH. So once this turns around, I expect AVAX to have an explosive start. So don't be afraid to look at your altcoins priced in ETH. You might be surprised what you see, and you might end up getting a little bit more bullish on some of these altcoins. I know I look at this, I get pretty bullish on Avalanche. But what about Polygon? I'm not bullish on Polygon after reading this article. I've told a lot of people to sell their Polygon. I had a thesis 2 years ago, and it made sense at the time. Polygon had like 97% of the tokens out. They're already out. But then the token did a lot worse than other L2s that only had 20% of the tokens out. And I thought long and hard about it, and kind of looked at some analysis and listened to other thought leaders in the space. My assessment essentially is when you have an altcoin, let's see here, let's go boom. Let's go to Polygon is like so low at this point. Polygon, you go to their token, you'll see 9 billion out of 10 billion. I saw that. I was like, well, that's a good sign, man. That's a good sign. I like what I see when I'm looking at that. Then you look at like something like OP. Like, well, what about OP? And you're like, oh, all right. Well, that one only has 1.7 out of 4. So now you're like, whoa, they got way more tokens. So clearly Polygon is going to be the better bet because all the tokens are out. I see this and I'm thinking the VCs are going to get tokens. They're going to dump on you. Well, not so fast, hot shot. What ends up happening a lot of the time is there are essentially whales creating large bags, and they get these bags over the course of years, and they will pump up a token that they have a bag of. Polygon, they've already dumped their bag, and now you have no shadowy VC pumping a token behind the scenes. And so when you see unlocked tokens, oftentimes there's a shadowy VC, a shadowy whale in the background pumping your bag. And then they pump your bag, and then they dump their bag, and then the bag ends up dumping. Now, Polygon does not have that. So something's interesting to look at. And the research I'm doing for tonight's video, maybe it goes out tomorrow. I'll just front run it. Layer 0, something very interesting with the token unlocks with layer 0, and why I'm actually bullish on the amount of token unlocks, and it has to do with the amount of time and where we're at in the space there. Let's see, people talking about OP tech is being used. Doesn't mean buy pressure for the token. Actually, it doesn't at all. Very, very true. It is semi-good marketing, but no better marketing than a billionaire buying a bag. These ads keep kicking. I mean, I'm sorry, man. Let's Aaron, could we lower it? Let's get that lower, man. I don't know what's going on. What is going to bring people to Polygon chain though? It wasn't Starbucks NFTs. I'll tell you what people will bring people to Polygon. It's Sandeep. Sandeep is the CEO. He's very, very bright. He's a very smart guy. He's one of the best founders in crypto. I would put him up there with the Sergey. So very, very, very smart guy. Don't sleep on Sandeep. Don't sleep on the Indian CEOs, man. They'll get you. Microsoft, Google. Yeah. Philippines to secure government documents on Polygon. That's bullish. Despite network hiccup. That's bearish. What the? I didn't even know it went down yesterday. So the government of Philippines announced it will notarize its documents on Polygon the same day the mainnet suffered temporary outage. Now, CEO of basically the firm powering this initiative said, "What is it used for? How does this work? What's the actual details?" So it's going to be used to track government budget documents. It's a collaboration between the DBM, Department of Budget and Management, and this chain, Chain, sets a precedent for transparency and accountability in public finance. All right, so they said the system of the Department of Budget and Management generates budget documents, and a representation of that data is inscribed on the Polygon blockchain. Essentially, maybe it's inscribing it like on the block, maybe NFT. We don't know because exact details of the implementation were not discussed. Well, that seems semi-bullish, but I'm getting vibes of like California DMV with Avalanche. Didn't turn into anything. Maybe this doesn't turn into anything either. But talk about bad timing. The mainnet went down on this proof of stake chain during Wednesday, the same day they announced this initiative, and they suspected it was a consensus bug. Polygon resolved the issue within 3.5 hours, which allowed them to keep producing blocks independently and prevented the network from halting activity completely. Still, many services were affected, with block explorers not reflecting the ongoing network activity. So it looks like, the Bohr layer was still making blocks, but not good when the chain goes down for 3.5 hours, at least on some levels. And if I had to guess what happened, the 50,000 foot view, the 30,000 aerial foot view here, if you were Cello, a different L2, you can go to ETH L2. There's a bunch of them there. Let's see, categories. I'm gonna look real quick. If you were, let's see, categories, smart contract. Oh, they don't have ETH layer 2? Just layer 2? That's fine. Go to layer 2. If you're like the ARB dev CTO, like the smartest guy on the ARB team, smartest guy on the Optimism team, smartest guy on the IMX team, smartest guy on this, but you get where I'm going here. If you're one of these like ETH L2 devs, like the crack shot guy like that, the guy that you go to the office at work and they don't even ask you to follow the dress code. You're just so good at your job. They're like, yeah, just don't bother him. But he ate my yogurt out of the fridge. Yeah, but he's very important to the organization. Maybe they attacked Polygon. How do we know that they didn't? And if you had that capability and you're like, waiting to press the button to, cause a little 3.5 hour outage, what better day than on a day like this with a major announcement, especially if you had a big bag of, say, like $50 million worth of this token. I'm kind of stretching, I'm kind of guessing here, but I wouldn't be so surprised if that's exactly what happened, folks. So that's my harebrained theory, everybody. Harebrained theory. All right, let's get into Story Protocol. Can Polygon hit 75 cents again? All right, that's a fair question. We'll go into the charts here. So I don't think I got to hit Matic. Oh no. Oh, wait a minute, because those are weekly. All right, so it migrated. It used to be called Matic. All right, looks like this will give me everything I need here. There we go. All right. This is bull divs on the weekly. So the charts are showing bullishness. Do we have a period that looks like this? Do we have anything that kind of looks like this? You'll notice that we pointed out this bull div. Look at that pump. Now, hopefully you sold, but that's a good pump. That's a good pump right there. Now we got another one, multi-month bull div here. Not really. I mean, you kind of got one there. Kind of. No, you don't. No, not really. Not really. The price action's too weird for us to have one there. And it's semi-new. So on the macro, it looks like you're about to revisit local highs. This is, maybe you only replicate what you had in the Trump pump. This is going to be the Trump pump right there, pumped into the end of December. So will it get to 75 cents? I think so, because it looks like that's where the charts want to take it. Maybe you only go this high. Maybe you end up, this turns into resistance. So it's a pretty important level right there. Also, that was the first place to stop there. Support, resistance. That's a possible, like, go ahead and maybe trim the bag around 55. And then you can maybe hope for that 75 cent moonshot there. So hope that helps if you're holding Polygon, any of the Disco fam. All right, so let's get into the next article here. Story time. Story time. I've been listening to a lot of Ocarina of Time soundtrack. Good Lord, that is such a good soundtrack. My wife makes fun of me. It's like, we're riding in the car. She's like, I feel like I'm in a video game. We watch a YouTube, Muffin Juice. And guess what? In his video, he was playing Ocarina of Time intro song. And I was like, see, it's there. There's the Ocarina. She's like, you're obsessed with this. I'm like, it's in the video. Maybe I am obsessed. Great game. All right, let's get back into the story here. So Grayscale launches Trust for Story Protocol to tap into the $80 trillion intellectual property market. Don't listen to that. I hate when people do that. Like, oh, well, the industry of insurance is worth 50 trillion. And this crypto does something with the insurance industry. So it should be worth a lot, right? That's just dumb thinking. So don't ignore the 80 trillion there. Here's why I'm not going to get in too deep in the article. Grayscale does this a lot. They have a lot of trusts. I do think they're going to do well. But if you go to their private funds, their private trusts, I mean, they got a lot. So is it bullish? Yes. I mean, but it's in a long list here. Like, was the Zcash trust bullish? Sure, in a vacuum. Is Zcash performing well? No, it sucks. It's dumping. So I wouldn't look too much into it, but they do have 30 million, so maybe that's something there. They're catching up on the XLM. XLM only has 47 million. So it looks like it was seeded out the gate pretty high. Look at Stacks, only 1.3 million. So not necessarily equates to massive buying pressure there. All right, let's see. Let's get into it. L2s will heat up in September. Before that, they'll heat up in August. They're going to heat up in August. What song will be played at the end game there? I don't really care. I'm dust at that point. So I don't think I'm going to be looking like a ghost. I don't think I'm going to be looking like Carl Weathers and Happy Gilmore. Like, oh, glad they played Freebird. It wouldn't be Freebird. Tuesday's gone. I don't know. Maybe a Skinnerd. Is that Leonard Skinnerd? No. Is it Leonard Skinnerd? No, it's the other people. Freebird. Yeah, Leonard Skinnerd. Yeah, I'm thinking Def Leppard. Yeah, it's not Def Leppard. It's Leonard Skinnerd. All right, so maybe that. Chat, what song is going to play at yours? Who Shot Ya? I'll do Biggie Smalls, Who Shot Ya? Or I could do Tupac's diss song to Biggie, where it starts. That's why no, maybe I won't do that one. Closing Time. That's a good one. Gangnam Style, but I would only do that if I could lift from, like, put animatronics inside my body, some sort of exoskeleton, and then have me like, whoa, and I'm like, I'm a ghost, that'd be cool. Up in Smoke. All right, not bad one. Just throw them in a dumpster. At least donate your body to science. Actually, if you're thrown in a dumpster, I mean, a homeless man has sex with your corpse. Does that count? Oh, why did I say that? Let's go on to crypto. Let's talk about crypto. I never said that. Just strike that from the record. XRP Army rejoicing over this bullish portion in the White House report. Sometimes, not often, I'll sweat after I say something. That was one of those times. So the XRP community is happy because they're semi-mentioned in the report. What is the semi-mention that we're talking about here? I know. I'm got daisied. That's what the homeless man said. All right. So a new White House report on stable coins and payment systems. So basically the report features cross-border payment innovation as a top strategic priority. And the XRP community is saying this is putting XRP and Ripple squarely in the spotlight. The only pushback I would, and here's the post here, kind of breaking it down. They told you what it needs, and it's not Bitcoin. It said cross-border payment innovation is priority number one. Ripple is the leading US-based company building that future. I would only push back and say maybe Tether or Circle. Tether's work with Tron in Asia, really, really good as far as, remittances and being able to transact. And I know a lot of people, like in the Philippines, it's like the only thing I use is USDT on Tron. I think that's used a lot more, significantly more than XRP is used. So in that sense, Tether wins. And then as far as Circle, I would say Circle and Ripple are kind of, neck and neck when it comes to business development and, signing the right paperwork with the right government official to have like some sort of real actual innovation and adoption. So XRP powers it, RLUSD connects it, ODL scales it. The government will back what it can regulate, and Ripple is built to be supported. Insanely bullish for XRP. But here's the thing: you can't make money buying Tether. You can't make money buying Circle. So if you did want to benefit off of this, XRP could be a potential beneficiary there. Trueflation, so could also be a beneficiary there. Valid crash out. Oh my God, it was raw, wasn't it? It was raw. Of course, it was gonna be raw. Oh man, you just got DZ'd. Is gonna hit differently from here on out. That's true, but you know what? That's only for the people in this moment right now. You are part of the Disco fam, and we're part of a momentous moment. We just had a moment together. We just literally had a moment. Smash that like button. And as you smash the like button, I'm going to feel your power surging through me. And when this power hits me, I'm going to give you the best altcoin to buy, folks. I'm going to give you the altcoin. I don't know if the next story goes into an altcoin. It does. All right. Is it this one? XLM. I don't know if I'm saying go buy all the XLM you can. XLM, though, did just have something very bullish happen. They achieved Visa support, and they're joining a little list here. So Visa has added the blockchain to its stablecoin settlement platform alongside ETH, Solana, Avalanche. So good job, XLM. If you hold XLM, that's good. Good job. Good job there. Can I have that moment back? Can I have that back? Is what the homeless man said. Oh, all right. I'll move on. Jesus Christ. We want to talk about crypto. Then DZ gets weird, man. The Necromancer. That was I guess I'm running zombies in my Magic the Gathering deck now. Hey, all right. Ripple sold their 46% to pay for the crash out. I've seen crash outs. That wasn't a crash out. Me eating the Pocky hot chip, complete crash out. If you don't know, a little story time, then we'll get into what's happening with Congress. DZ, yes, myself, I was a Twitch streamer. I was a gamer. And one of the things I did was eat the hot chip. I don't know if you can find it if you just search like DZ hot chip. I'm kind of looking here. So other people with that name. No, I don't see it. Did I type? And I'm going to type in one more thing. I'm going to type in the Pocky. It was like not Pacquiao, but the Pocky chip. I don't think I'm spelling it right. I'm definitely not spelling it right. All right, you know what? You could actually find it on YouTube, everybody. But I'm not going to tell you how to find it on YouTube. You're going to have to look for that one. That's a deep DZ cut right there when I ate that hot chip. All right, let's get back into the crypto story here. Who needs cable when you can watch Congress for free? Senator Josh Hawley introduced the bill to ban stock trading, and the room lit up, man, like Snoop Dogg was in the corner. You don't want to miss this recap. Quick recap, and I'll tell you why it's odd. This Republican sided with Democrats to get this out of committee, and what's the real implications that is happening here. Wind Waker is the best Zelda. I didn't like the graphic style, but it is very, very good. And they're saying Josh had a crash out. I'll have to find the clip there. And where are we going here? We're going to go into Nancy Pelosi time. All right. So first, Howley doesn't own any stock. He sold it all upon entering Congress. Explaining why this bill is important. 86% of Americans say members of Congress should not be able to buy or sell shares of a stock. We've seen the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, make millions of dollars of profits. We've seen members of both parties, I'm sad to say, be investigated for their stock trades. And the reason for all this, quite frankly, members of this body, you're privy to inside info that the normies are just not. So me and you, retail, we don't get this information, the same information that both sides, Dan Crenshaw and Nancy Pelosi, get. Crenshaw hasn't done that well lately, but he crushed 2023, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Senator Rick Scott of Florida asked, how are you supposed to sell an illiquid asset? You're concerned about the illiquid asset provision? It's the same one you voted for last year. Burn. Johnson of Wisconsin. You can relabel this Career Politician Protection Act because it makes it so unattractive for people to give up their business. Rand Paul. If this is a great bill, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it's really necessary. It should apply to Donald Trump. But the fact they don't want to apply to Donald Trump means it's a really crummy bill. Well, wait a minute. This came from Democrats, right? Democrats got this out of committee. So why are the Democrats giving Trump an exception? I got some thoughts on that in a second. Now, the terms of the bill would take upon the beginning of their next term. It's not the same treatment for all office holders. Members of the House takes effect beginning of their next term if they're reelected. Oh, okay. They get elected every 2 years. Members of the Senate, it will take effect upon the beginning of their next term. So it could be 2 years, could be 4 years, could be 6 years. Okay. And the president and the VP will take effect at the beginning of the next term, and so on. All right. Well, you put it that way, it makes a lot of sense. Oh, okay. So until your term ends, presidents, House, Senate all have different term limits: 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. Okay. Well, that makes sense. All right. Then we got this Michigan senator here. We have a problem. To address that, I'm willing to make the good work instead of waiting for perfect. All right. And he cleared the record and said he does not trade stocks himself, says Senator Johnson. There he goes right there, doing air bending. I don't know what the heck he was. That was air bending, right? Let's get into it. He's doing one of the things. So let me kind of just give you my initial thoughts here. So this was stuck in a committee and it couldn't get out of the committee. Many such cases when there's things that are good for the people but bad for individuals in Congress. So a committee bill that's stuck there could be, do we freeze no more raises for the next 10 years until the budget? No, that's not going to get out of committee. Why? Because they want to give themselves raises. Another thing stuck in this committee, banning congressional members from trading stocks. Didn't really ever get out of committee. But a Republican flipped, and that Republican was Senator Hawley, Josh Hawley. So why did a Republican agree with the Democrats to remove banning stock or remove stock trading? I have a theory. My theory is essentially the language of, where is it at? The language of the different amount of years. This will enable every single House member essentially say, I'm divested, but Donald Trump and JD Vance are not. And so this could be weaponized in the midterms, that Trump carved out an exemption for him and his family. Meanwhile, the carve out was presented by Democrats plus one Republican. Now, that's a little bit reaching, and we're kind of looking at second and third order effects here. And I haven't heard anyone say this, but that's the DZ assessment. I think that carve out for Trump that would go in effect in 2028 is fuel for a campaign ad for a Democrat running in the House. So I don't know, maybe I'm too conspiratorial there, but this ended up turning into something. Nancy Pelosi had a meltdown. Now I'm gonna go ahead and play this. So I gotta remove this window, and then I'm gonna have to add it to the stage here. So give me about 4 more seconds. I hit share screen, I hit Chrome tab, I hit share, and then I add to stage. Boom, we're there. Just a minute 20. You thought DZ's crash out was bad? This is about to get real bad, folks.
Yeah, it was. Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi.
I am so sorry if that hurt your ears there. I'll keep it high. Maybe it just might have been my computer. Oh my God, I was maxed to 100. You probably heard it through the mic.
Yeah, it was. Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
No, you're a politician, and when a reporter asks you a question, it is your duty to answer as a representative of your constituents, Nancy.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very
It was my husband, not me, you idiot.
much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to
About Goldbar Menendez. Did he do something bad? New Jersey senator.
jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything
I'm not into it, but my husband is. What are we talking about? A key party in the 70s?
to do with anything insider. But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting. And let's not give him any more time on that, please. We're going forward here, and I'm very proud of my family. And while he might make fun of us, while somebody inspired by him,
I'm proud of Paul's success in trading using my inside knowledge. Is that what you're proud of?
breaks into our home and hits my husband in a deadly fashion, hits my husband over the head, and he thinks that's a riot. I'd rather not go into some of my other complaints about him right now.
Airing out past grievances as a method of gaining and garnering sympathy. What large group does that?
To talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid.
Yeah, that was just a bad showing by Nancy Pelosi. And how about
President has his own exposure.
I forget this. Jake Tapper. How come Jake Tapper and Mike Johnson? How come you never see them in the same room together? A little similarity there. All right. Well, obviously that was a meltdown by Nancy Pelosi. I wouldn't say it was super, super bad, but that was grandma getting pissed. That was grandma saying, who left the butter out? That was grandma saying, you didn't use a coaster on that table. That was a pissed off grandma. And for her, I think that was pretty significant. So here's some of the key details. Prohibits Congress, president, vice president, and spouses and dependent children from purchasing or selling stocks or other covered assets. And they must divest all assets starting 2027 for Congress, 2029 for the president and the vice president. Of course, there's going to be midterms in 2028. And so kind of what I was saying earlier, every House member running in 2028 can say, I've divested myself from the stock market, but Donald Trump and his sons are enriching themselves off the U.S. taxpayer. And so maybe it's going to be used as ammunition against Donald Trump. So that's kind of my assessment there. So she's an evil Karen. Is she evil, or she's like so demented? It's like she's just kind of going along for the ride. And really the evil people are the people in her orbit, the younger staffers, maybe State Department officials that kind of, I don't want to say operate her via string, but, kind of if you looked into what happened in the first weeks of 2021, what she did regarding security, maybe there's something there, folks. My son-in-law is from the Netherlands, and he's an a-hole. All right, Antonius. Hey, son-in-law, do better. Treat the wife with a little bit more respect. If not, the disco fam's going to be knocking on your door. Metaphorically. We're just going to talk about crypto. We're going to ask you about crypto. I wonder if she has any ice cream. It's Jello, and you put her pills in the Jello. I may not agree with DZ on ADA, but I can relate to him with all his distrust on politicians. How about this? Cardano's going to zero. Do we agree now? Now we're simpatico. All right. 2025, they don't use stings anymore. They do a full clone. Strings anymore. Clone. Yes, clone. Is it a face mask that he was wearing? And why did he get tall during that one press conference? It does make sense. And it was technology that fooled ex-CIA director George H.W. Bush in the early 90s. So if you want to look in face mask technology, look at Bush, early 90s. I think it was someone within the CIA wore a mask in the Oval Office, if I'm not mistaken, and tricked George H.W. just a mere 4 feet away from his face. So the mask stuff, that's a whole fun rabbit hole, but we're not going to get into it, folks. Smash that like button on the way out. All right, Dutch Sun joke. That was good. All right, 10 points for Mr. Techno Goody. All right, folks, but thank you for joining. Chainlink by the end of the year. If this works out well, I think we see 50 base case, 100 medium case, 200 is like, oh my God, Donald Trump did a post about it and now Wall Street's wanting to buy. So that's what we got. I'm going to work on a video on this report. There is, and I don't want to front run this information because I've noticed a lot of channels stealing our alpha, and that's fine. You know what? We are the originators of a lot of thought. So you know what? I'll go ahead and throw them a bone already, but I'm trying to release it tonight or tomorrow. So you better hurry if you're making a video on this within the report. Let's see if I can find it here. So give me 1 second. So I'm going to find the report, and I'll show you exactly what I'm thinking. So boom. I'm front running the info and letting the peons, maybe, oh no, I can't do it. Can't do it here. So for whatever, maybe I'll go full screen. All right. So with Adobe, you could keyword search, and what is it? Control T. It's not Control T. How do you search for a word? Chat. I know you're smarter than me when it comes to Windows. When you're trying to find a specific word, it's not Control T. That's a new window, if I'm not mistaken. What is the thing there? And I'll read this $5 super chat. What 3-4 coins are you buying today with 8K to put in? I love Chainlink. I love AVAX at these levels because I think an ETH pump is kind of played out. And so the next things, Control F, thank you. So the next things that pump could be Chainlink, could be AVAX. Other than that, what is a good one? Yet to pump, Chainlink, AVAX. I still think Ondo is going to be pretty good. Chainlink, AVAX. I don't want to say Ondo. We said Ondo. I'm just going to give you 2 out of the 3, man. 3 or 4. No, you asked for 3 to 4. Ondo, give me one more. You want one more? If I didn't do Cardano, I would do, I like Solana for a breakout and to protect yourself to the downside there. I know they're boring, you know, large caps, but if you wanted a small cap, you know, SWE, Mammo's probably going to do some crazy stuff. Black Hole might do some things if Elio and Alex Becker start pumping it. So I can see those. All right. Thank you for the control F there. So I'm a front run, give the other channels out there scrambling for video content. They don't know what to make. They don't know what to say. So they just kind of listen to me sometimes. So this is, oh, wait, got to remove this. And we're going to add a new stage here. So give me 3, 2, 1. Boom. Boom. Oh, add stage. Boom. So they reference a particular, so they have reports. And this is a White House crypto report. This White House crypto report references other crypto reports. And there's one crypto report they reference pretty extensively here, at least in a serious way. That crypto report is A16Z's crypto report, State of Crypto Index. And so you'll see them citing other reports. This is going to be link number 39. So go to 39. I think it's right here. All right. So monthly transactions. Yeah. So they're citing other crypto reports. The report that they're citing is A16Z. I think it is worth doing a deep dive in the A16 portfolio because they're clearly well connected. There are criticisms. A16Z is too powerful via their lobbying and their deep pockets. And so if you should follow the whale money, you should follow the smart money. And I'm going to do a little deep dive and see which institutional money is flowing into things that correlate. I know I'm just giving them the whole live video idea that correlates with their portfolio. There is a little overlap, and there's 3 altcoins I have identified that are going to be looking at some very, very bullish activity in the near term. So that's what you got to look forward to, folks. I am I'm freaking Johnny on the spot today, man. So I'm going to go work on this right now. I appreciate you guys hanging out. This is a long form DZ only stream. Big shout out to Aaron on the 1s and 2s there. So we'll see you folks, and smash that likes.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at